Yeah.
Mhm. Are you able to see the chat message also?
Yes.
You can write something in this window. Yes, yes, yes. All things are perfect. So let's wait for a 2-3 minutes
Yeah.
because last session has finished at
Yeah.
1:35.
Gosh.
I have,
Okay, my
I
God.
have given the very Kit Kat break. Yes. So they will join us by I think two
No
five.
issues. Yeah, sure, sure. No
Yes, please.
issues.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
no
Thank you. Thank you.
worries. Yeah. Uh, you know, would like to introduce myself while Dr. Vishal has actually given introduction to me, but I will be introducing myself. But I actually like to know what kind of audience we have. So, what are you doing? Means, can you give me an overview? Means, what are the streams they are? You are part of. What are the things that we are doing? Am I audible to everybody? Because I saw a message that I'm not audible. So, can you please confirm audible to everybody? Yes, a couple of people can just give your name and teaching area. It would be great so that I understand my audience. Okay, so we have assistant professor in computer engineering at Mumbai, Sanjay ji. Okay, Sanjay Deshmukh, and AI and cloud. Wow, wow, new technologies, right? Uh, Dr. Kaveri, Dr. BAMU University, Aurangabad, Assistant Professor, Professor EC, Tamil Nadu. Okay, great. Oma is Assistant Professor in Computer Science. Great, wow. Oh my God, all our doctors, I'm feeling privileged. I've not been, in touch of so many doctors at the same time. Thank you for coming into the session. Wow. Great. Assistant Professor CSE, Pansar College, Indore. Okay. Thank you. So while you can, and it will help us, for me to interact with you and refine my examples on the go. So I am Baishakhi, and so let me give you a brief introduction as to what I do now, and I will go back to, where it came from. So I am actually working as a software architect. I work in a field called payment solutions. So mostly whatever software I have been working on are pertaining to credit card, debit cards, how the card processing is done, banking solutions, core banking systems, payment gateways, card printing. That's another important thing. ATM solutions. So these are the kind of softwares that I personally work on, and I have been designing it. And as a part of software architecture, I also have the privilege of working with the clients, understanding what their business needs are, and refining their processes. So that is also one part that I do. So, but this software architecture, this is like 15 years is too long to become a software architect. Most people early on, but I have been doing this for around 5 to 6 years now. So somewhere I started when I was around 9 years of experience. And from the education side of it, I am not a BTech actually. I'm not a BTech. I'm not an MTech. I started my education. I am a BSc Maths honors. I did my graduation from Calcutta University, and post that I did complete my MCA from West Bengal University of Technology, and so from there I had actually moved to companies. I've done my internship, worked in various domains, and finally for the past 6 or 7 years I'm working in payment solutions. So that is what I have been doing. Thank you everybody sharing what you are doing and all, your expertise, and I am now I'm a little bit bothered. Thank you very much. So uh, Now let us see, as I told, we are trying here because we are trying to understand and identify how we can actually bring better professionals in the industry, or industry not ready, I would say, industry equipped professionals, as a professional who can take on the expectation that a corporate world needs from them. That intent of the session is that. So we will try to identify what actually is currently done and how we can do a little bit of tweaking in our processes so that we can actually help the students or the people who are joining us better. Okay, that is the intent of the session. uh, so life cycle of a student. So what to an academic technical course like this, what normally happens? So this I have actually kept in mind for a btech students. So mtech or mca may have a different life cycle, but over a to a technical stream, you have a complete set of you have to complete a set of papers that you need to appear. You appear for the exam, you get promoted. This cycle keeps on continuing for the next 1 to 6 semester. Once they get promoted into the to do they have certain papers and a minor project gets evaluated, they get promoted. And then comes the eighth semester. The eighth semester is one semester where they have to actually do a major project. So most of the students actually either get into an intern company, which may be a paying or a non-paying kind of thing, a gig, or they have their set of projects that the colleges identify for them. They work on it, and that project gets, they appear for the. So that is a normal standard existing life cycle of student that is taken care in the institutions. After means somewhere around the sixth or seventh semester, most of the placement colleges will have where the openings are listed that they want two Java, four, that. So the students get it, the candidates appear for these evaluation exams. It could be a psychometric, it could be a small programming, and all exam. Then they appear for the F2F, and also in the off-campus thing, and they get selected. And first HR discussion happens. The offer is this or that. The student gets all excited, pumped up. They have got is rolled out for them, and they wait for the joining time. Lot of communication, email. You will Facebook is a great place. You will have all these groups, each of the big companies where they can actually post their all that. So it becomes a very interactive thing during that point of time. It's a very exciting phase that starts happening. So once happens exactly next. So what it exciting thing, because for the past 7 or 8 years I am somebody who actually is part of the induction or the first day of the HR, when the team comes in, and it's a very exciting day for me in the sense because you sense that all these people all dressed properly in corporate outfits. And the things that happen on the first couple of weeks is like any standard organization will take the following steps for a fresher to make them part of the industry. What they are: induction. So in the induction, they are given the introduction of the different processes, how to get the, and the most interesting part, I'm telling you, nobody is interested about the project. Everybody waits for the finance person to come in and explain them the components. Biggest, in most interesting part of the induction, that all pump and very excited about the how the salary will look. Then hours for smaller organization, it spans for a couple of hours. But for Infosys or TCS, this may actually go in for weeks or sometimes months. Next thing that happens in the buddy is assigned. A buddy is a friend who actually walks you through the floor, tells them how to raise a complaint, whom to contact for certain things, talk for this, and all those small process oriented things. For that, a buddy is assigned. This buddy could be somebody only 1 year senior to that person, or it could senior. So it's just a luck, a matter of luck, who the buddy is. Network issue. Try my voice working, but I will try to be louder. Then the next thing that happens is they are assigned a machine so that they can do something to pass the time. And generic training is actually given because mostly programming or the operating system, whatever the papers they have covered, they do not actually focus on certain aspects. So what they do, every company will have a generic training for a technical training, and that could, or it could be specific for product based companies, or a service based company is, it could be something specific to their frameworks, it could be something specific other products they build. So there could be something like that. Then finally, if the person is lucky, they are assigned to a project, or they can be on bench for a couple of months. It could be on the bench for a couple of months. It's a very standard way of overview of the project. So overview of the project, very objective kind of, very subjective. If you have a very good uh, yes, I am trying my what the issue is. Should I reconnect or something? Am I not audible at all? Okay, let me actually uh, I will be joining back. Just a minute. Give me some time. Okay.
Radhika ma'am, please mute your
I will
mic.
try to be slower to be, I'm actually very close to my mic right now. Let me actually, just a minute.
But try to reconnect. Try to leave the
Yes,
meeting and rejoin it. Maybe problem will be solved.
Am I audible now? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Anup sir, please mute your mic. Anup sir. Anup sir.
So, yes. Okay, yes. The another thing, important thing is, as soon as the person is hired, you come into a team, that person is no more a candidate or an employee. We call are very important to us. They are very precious to us. So they are called assigned to a project. Then the next thing is he's given a basic project overview. Now, depending on the criticality of the project, that overview could be very in depth, and the person who is giving the overview, that also depends on the knowledge of the person. So let me give you a very industry standard of what is the ratio we understand transfer. We assume that whenever a knowledge is transferred from one resource to another resource, even if they have like between them, the knowledge that is transferred is only around 70 to 80%. So uh, that is the kind of actually knowledge gets transferred. So even if the person who is giving the is giving his best, somewhere 20 to 80% is only transferred. So I would like to know, anybody of you has actually worked in a corporate world, or you're coming from corporate? Is there somebody in the attendees who has work experience in corporate? Okay, no. Yes. Thank you. And you may unmute your. Richa has. Okay. So, Richa, you are able to connect that this is the, kind of process that happens once the resource joins?
Yeah, hi. You able to hear me?
What I'm saying that this is the steps normally happen, right? Once after you join until the project you are assigned to. These are the simple steps that keep on happening, right?
Yeah,
So
correct.
this is normal. Yeah. And I would love, so this is to all attendees, I would love, if you can actually, and if you have a question, either you can unmute and ask it. Let us be a little bit informal, and let us, we are on the same wagon, so not a problem. Project overview is given, and then what happens? So you must have any of your student come back to you and say that bahut kaam hai, too much work, we are not able to understand. Does your student connect to you after they pass out and give this kind of feedback? What kind of feedback they give? Hello, am I audible? uh, do your student come back to you and say, this is like too much work? Yeah. So what kind of experience do they say? General students are, yes, yes, they start getting the credit cards and all that, right? Also, most of the students are IT students are happy. Yes. So then the last thing that they are given is the document. So they are given a documentation project. So believe me, of the industry, the documentation is so poor, enough information, and that is something all industries suffer from, because a project may have a different type of expectation, so they don't give proper information. And also there's another thing, there's a cultural barrier, cultural mix. Some people may have not mixed with a certain group of people, so there are apprehensions. So lots of things are going on in the mind of your students when they start joining. So it's a restless kind of situation. So after next is, then somewhere after say they have been on the project, then they keep getting into those trainings and all that. One day the manager walks up to that person and says, okay, give him the, this is the most exciting part. Person has been on some time without assignment, he's bored with playing around the browser and all that. So he's given the first assignment. So the first assignment, depending on your size of a company, may come from 3 weeks to 3 months. That is the type of the time period that is required when the before the first assignment is given for a fresher. So in most, this first assignment, often these the new joinees do not understand that this is the most crucial assignment it is going to be, because depending on this task of the the type of assignment and the project, this first assignment, what technology that person is going to work on in the next couple of years, that is very very important. That's why very important reason I'm talking about. In I started my first project .NET, and I was then at that time I was very bad in .NET. Still I started with .NET. I'm still sticking with .NET, and there had been many options for me to move to Java and other technology. And this is my personal experience. I did not move to Java because the Java IDE is not friendly, and Microsoft IDEs are very friendly. One thing that made me stick to .NET. I'm still in .NET. Yes, that's very good thing Gaurav has said, that we need to take feedback. That whenever students are giving feedback about the job, they should also give feedback about the challenges. That is important. That they should keep doing it. That what they have not been, what. So now once that first, so the first assignment email at all. Most of the time, it's not going to come in a formalized email. So what happens? You're walk up to you and say, I have a new activity and this needs to be done. So what kind of activity normally is assigned to a new joinee? It could be that you write a set of stored procedures. Crude is create, retrieve, update, and delete. Good stored procedures for a set of tables within an application. That is one type of thing that we will give to a fresher. We won't. Second is, creating a very basic form for to take values from a user, save it to a database. So using these crude procedures in a form. That is. Third assignment is, you have a bulk of data that you want to be inserted in a formatted way in a database. You don't have time to do it. Give it to a fresher. So that is another type of work we assign to a fresher. Fourth type is like the functionality, but the UI design is not good. So you come up with a UI design. There are 25 pages in the project. Have time. You're too senior. We will assign it to a job. These are the changes that you need to do. And after that person does the, you have to do these changes. It could be a textual change. The textual changes, name of the, any header should be this, the form header, the label of button text should be this. So those are the things that they want to change. Or it could be change of the style, that the entire layout needs to be changed. So another thing that needs to be done. Or a JavaScript functions, add some validation, I need a message to pop up like this. I need a OK and cancel button to come here. So all those kind of changes we will actually assign to a and the first to actually tell the client you got the requirement, you have made the project, created a solution, and you need to create a user manual. So what you will do, you will give it to the fresher, say the application is running in this, so just run and start creating a user manual, take screenshot, put it there. So this is another type of activity to freshers. Writing, that often you have done your level of unit testing, but you have to show them what kind of test cases you have written. But we don't want to do it. So what we will do, we will ask the new joinee. So these are the different activities normally a fresher that we assign them. We do not assign them very critical or complex solutions. Then these kind of changes so that they can actually understand. This gives them the opportunity to understand the project more and have less work to deliver. So this is the how we try to keep them engaged. Yes, like Java.NET Core is also platform. Yes, but yeah, yes, but the .NET Core came just now, so maybe I will also work on platform independent systems. So now, and then performing unit testing. So in unit testing, normally what happens, if we are creating a product or service, or providing a service, we don't do one round of unit testing. We minimum do 3 to 4 iterations of testing. So what we will do, we will actually ask the fresher that, I have done this set of testing, just keep on repeating and see if it breaks sometime or not. So that is another thing we actually assign to a fresher. So now, any idea what happens next? Anybody, you can mute and say. Any idea what do we experience next? Hello, am I audible? Yeah. So yes, I know. Yeah. So after assigning, what is the next step? Do anybody can tell me? Because it is not a teacher assigning to a student; it is a manager assigning to a resource. So we cannot spoon feed. We cannot. There are certain process limit that actually stops us from doing certain things. So the next thing is, this is the this is the best part, the best part of being a senior, that you actually can see you can see all those confused faces that you have not spoken in the right language. 90% of the time the face will go blank as soon as you assign a word. And you basically go to the developer, you explain the requirement to that person, and let us just let us call this name person as Navneet. Okay, and this Navneet is a very jolly nice guy, very very good guy. So Navneet will nod and say he understands it all. He doesn't send the authority or anything. He will nod and say, yeah, this is how it works. Then the next, as a manager, you will ask him, Navneet, how much time will this take? And uh, now, since he has been tutored well, he will come up and say, he'll come back with the estimation at the end of the day. Okay. So this is a standard that end of the day you will hear from a fresher. And then as soon as the manager is gone, he will rush to the senior team buddy or somebody he relies on, somebody who's a confidante, and he will just go to that person, and he will try to understand the requirement once again from this person. Okay. And at the end of the day, he comes to you and very confidently he says, it's 1 week. I will take 1 week. So, and I am sometimes very bad. So I will actually go and ask him that whether 1 week is 40 hours or 1 week is going to be 56 hours. That is, I ask, and then they will very confidently say it's 40 hours. So this is what happens. So after that, so any and just to be clear, Navneet is a fictional character, and similarity with any professional is purely coincidental. So I'm not pinpointing, but this is an average thing that keeps on happening. Okay, I have some message from Rishabh. Okay, window transfer. Okay, just a minute. Involve reader. Uh, Yes, yes. So you see, okay, I am seeing a lot of workflows and varies with organization level, right? The thing is, most of the time, you see, depending on the type of organization, there could be a big organization, there could be a small organization. But as per my experience, if somebody wants to learn work at every level, one should get into the organization, a smaller organization, because in smaller organization you have to do everything yourself. Because you have to do everything yourself, you need to, your problem solving skills increases. Bigger organization, because there is so much process and everything in place, what happens, the amount of work that you actually do is far lesser than the amount of documentation you do for the work, to show, this is the amount of work. So it actually and completely depends on the type of the project, the people you are working with, and of course the organization that you're working.
Exactly.
But the standard is this, because for the past 9 years, I have seen that the first estimation and point blank, it will come as 1 week. So, any guesses what happens after 1 week? Any guesses? Okay, let me just, break the silence. So after 1 week, as a manager, you walk up to Navneet and ask, hey, when can I have a demo? You were supposed to give me the deliverable today. And then this Navneet is totally washed up, very scared. He doesn't know, means they have a different level of scare. So Navneet is all scared and explains to you that the assignment he is not able to even complete it, because the ID that he needed to, work on, that he took 3 days for installation. Then the RDBMS he has installed, but he is not able to connect the application to the RDBMS. Then there is some permission issue that he is not able to resolve. Then the DB backup that was provided to him for the project, that is having a version mismatch. The solution in which he was supposed to, make the changes, that is not even building. So, and there could be, there's a lot of things that they, for the first assignment, they will face. The simple reason, it's not their fault. The simple reason is that, the amount of environment dependency that is required, it's not documented anywhere. No organization will have that kind of documentation, that, this is something the organizations know, expect that you will, build on your own, you will understand, you know how to do it. Studio will take around 6 to 7 hours for installation, a current package of Visual Studio. But even in Visual Studio, there is a way of installing Visual Studio. So say if you are working on multiple versions of Visual Studio, so you have to start with the lowermost version, then move up to the higher version. If you do that, you will have challenges that you have to actually, do some other work to get it resolved. Similarly, when you are doing an for instance, whether it's an enterprise, whether it's a professional, whether it's an express version, express will have certain features. So all these features, they have to actually gather themselves, which nobody is going to tell them by default. They have to go and ask, and this process actually takes a lot of. So as a manager, every manager understands this and then asks for the next thing. And now again, Navneet will say, because he is really very ashamed that he could not deliver, so he will say that, next week I will give it, next week. And he's determined. This person is trying to put a lot of effort. He's determined. So what happens next week? Anybody? Any guesses? You can unmute and say. Don't no need to write. No, actually, target and deadlines for deliverables. No, Rishabh ji. Actually, targets are not. No. Prerequisites need to be validated. In most of the companies currently are working in an agile mode. So as a result, we often get requirements in the morning that we need to deliver at in the evening. And because we understand what is going in the background, we say this can be done. Okay, simple reason I can give you one very big example that we actually on the go and everything was that something similar to, say, the Amazon Big Billion Days sale. So what happened that when too many users actually started logging in, the entire system crashed. Okay, so and Amazon cannot choose to be, down for so many hours. So people who were in the back end trying to fix it, they had to actually do something in the back end, put more servers in place, deploy it properly, and start, working on it. So things are not often anticipated because runtime environment, production environment is little bit different. It is so not everything is, fixed at the beginning. There are changes. So next week looks something like this. In 70%, not I'm saying not all, but in 70%, Navneet would have done one of the following. For the crude activity, okay, are you asking me? Okay. Navneet would have done one of the following. For the crude activity, he would have churned up a set of stored procedures. He would have really tried to create the stored procedures. A crude UI would be in place if he had taken up the form activity. For the UI activity, he could have made changes to all the forms, but the problem would be he would have gone inside each of those individual forms and pages, and he would have made the changes. He had not made the changes in a centralized place. Okay. For the inserting Excel sheet data to the database, he would have written 10,000 insert script and said this works, something like that. Then for documentation, the document looks more like rough notes rather than documentation. And for the test cases part, he just put just normal, I did this, take this, do that, done. So not comprehensive test cases would have been written. This is a normal thing that we see. Uh, there is actually in okay, yes, SOP and KOPs must be in place. There is nothing called must be in the industry, because we everybody is trying to do things so fast that must be is, there cannot be actually, must be in the industry. It does not happen. It does not happen. Something as crucial as finance industry. I'm in payments, so I'm actually in an industry that every day we have to reconcile around 2 million to 3 million records in a day, and still I can say that the standard operating procedure is not fixed, because things happen that is not in control of anybody.
So I would like to add Baishakhi because I am also from industry only. So I'm having 14 years of experience from
Right.
HCL and
Sure, sure.
EY. So I'm currently working as a service delivery head. So maybe
Okay.
for a small organization, I understand SOP, KOPs, runbook would not be possible. However,
Mhm.
for a bigger organization, Big Four, if you talk about, then definitely
Yes,
they have a KOPs because
ye- for bigger organization, I can give you one example. For organization, I had the opportunity to work with First Data, and in First Data, when the network we had a network challenge, because First Data is a very process oriented company, and they did not want to compromise on their networking so they actually shifted the project 6 months. So that kind of decision making and thing happens, but sometimes it is not feasible. It completely depends on the process. So I'm talking about runtime environment. You cannot put things down for weeks because something needs to be worked on. It cannot, because production environment may break for certain reasons.
yeah, so
So
when you have
I am more
incident
into
management and incidents and ITIL processes in place in various organizations, if you talk about, so if anything
Mhm.
working fine, get in and it gets stopped working. So incident management, then your critical incident management, and I
Yes,
believe these
yes,
topics
yes,
are covered as well in the education curriculum as well. Because I'm not
yes,
sure
yes,
about current syllabus as per the AICTE, but most of the time when I did my BTech, MTech, and my doctorate, so I remember during those time that because it's 14 years only with IT and very less experience with the education field, but I understand there are various organizations who have different set of agile. Then you have Prince 2 and other practitioner
Yes,
organize
yes,
level
yes.
of uh, certifications available for getting those things delivered in a proper well on time.
Yes, right. So the the developer is not able to complete it, or comes up with a solution that is not up to the mark. So while we have a choice to lose patient, assign the work, sometimes we do if it is a critical thing. We cannot actually keep on. But it if thing that we can actually use as a learning opportunity for a fresher, what we will do, that we will actually explain and reiterate the expectation, and then review the entire activity, give comments and suggest the changes, and then again we set up a review date. So if you Navneet is going to get completed the same activity in the next review date, it may happen. Many people do. I have many experience. I have experience with freshers who have actually done it. With they, but many times it is not possible. The possible was knowledge transfers that was done to him was not complete because the company people did not have enough knowledge about it. They just assigned the work to him, or the client itself has actually changed the requirement, so it needed a rework, or in some testing environment any reason. So the first assignment may actually take more weeks than expected. uh, so now, this is one thing that I actually am working for the past 4 or 5 years with freshers. That how does delay work? For the fresher, the problem important for a to for the industry people, fresher, assignments that they can complete, because as soon as they start gaining confidence on over the little task, they can deliver better. And this is an important thing, whether you have to set up the fresher for success. You have to learn, and there's an opportunity to succeed. If you give an overtly complex activity, there will be a chance that the fresher may not be able to complete. And not all freshers are very confident. Sometimes their confidence get dented because the first demo it fails. They client says, so all that thing happens, and at that point of time you feel for them that this is they felt it bad to try to explain, but that's part of being a professional. You have to take the criticism, move on. So but what happens that if the not expectation, for a small company or a mid-sized company, it will happen that they are actually put into a back seat, try to work as a shadow resource, do smaller activities, and then your appraisal cycle just shoots down. Again an assignment is given to you, maybe you try to change the project, you try to do something like that, again an assignment is given. If the cycle keeps on repeating every 6 months, at the end of 2 years there's and he's trying to change the job. He will try to move out of the company, and in the next company he will expect 25, 15, 20% hike. But the problem is, because right set of assignment, somewhere his confidence is not at par that is expected with somebody who's working for 2 years. That is going to happen, and it has happened. So for me, I have thankfully I've worked with companies like Wipro, Infosys, who actually do not are not that rash with their freshers, nicely with them, and as a result there is an opportunity to learn very well. that is one thing I'm really proud to be associated with this organization, because they really care for their freshers and help them grow. So now, means, when you start working with these freshers for a long period of time, you have to understand that what could be such kind of deviation. Means I'm expecting something, as a lead of them, you often try to understand, why I'm not able to get my expectations through them. What is stopping me? Is the knowledge transfer wrong? What is the miss? So I have worked for freshers. So I joined Infosys when I was having module as a technology analyst, and I was managing a team of around 11 to 12 freshers, and they had a different set of issues. And from then onwards, I have been working with my team composition is mostly 50% of people who are, and the rest are more than 8 years or 9 years. That is the kind of composition I work with. So what I normally find in these freshers are they have a lack of skills, because they are not able to understand the problem. What is the problem? Where is the problem? That skill is something that many people seems to be missing. Not able to map solutions to the real problem. So what happens that they know for loop, how to write a while loop, where it goes, how it goes, but how will this for loop going to solve my problem, or how it improves the problem, improves the solution? They are not able to connect that dot. Freshers lack, they do not have this keenness to research. Google, most of these fresher will find a solution in the first three result that is going to come in. They are not going to scroll to the even to the bottom of the page to see if all of them, the result matches, or if there is a better match of the result. uh, Fourth thing is that they are actually a bit disconnected with the technology, implementation of technology. So they know microservices, they know e-commerce, they know payment gateways. No, but if you tell them, where are you seeing it? Or are you able to connect any real world solution? Okay, tell me where it is getting implemented. The first thing is that they are not able to connect an implementation of a solution. This solution may be working like this. It's not about the being present. It's not. It's more about the knowledge not getting connected to the real world. And the last important thing is they're not able to connect, understand the bigger picture of the solution. So since they're very, whenever they're given assignment, the assignments are very focused. So as a result, solution is going to, how that solution fits into the bigger picture, they're not able to grasp it, they're not able to visualize it. That is another thing that actually is stopping them from learning better. So now, as I actually reiterate, I'm reiterating what I said earlier, that intent of the session is to come together and understand how to help student transition from academic to corporate world seamless, so that that students become better within a of time, and they start achieving success earlier. So I would like to say, on it MCA, BCA, they're actually, the entire course is divided into a semesters. Now each semester a student has X number of papers. Now each paper has Y number that is the topics that are given, and educator is given an N number of hours to explain that topic. Hours is just an estimate. However, depending on need, the educators often give extra hours to that. Then the topics are completely theoretical, or they could be a problem solving type. The questions are mostly within the scope of the topics covered, and many and time the questions are getting repeated. So it could be something that is a final year question in a BTech, could be the first year question in a another BC. Every topic into the picture. Then then the student needs to just add, get a certain amount need to qualify to the next semester. Even the topics of the project that are selected are like very random. They means relevant, not cross checked, and the student need to submit a working sample of the whatever project they choose. They just need to show a demo and the working sample, and the course. This is a normal that is happening. So one we identify is that there is not enough practical oriented curriculum. Practical oriented curriculum, when we talk about it, it means that if you are giving them a problem, data structures and algorithms, you have to actually give them identify the different types of data structure and what algorithm best fits with them. Everybody sees those algorithms, that sorting into and all that, but none of the students can, this is what is happening. Okay, for a small data set, this is what is going to happen. For a bigger data set, this is the time. What are the impact? They are not actually able to understand. So curriculum needs to given assignments to do practical work on their. It's like a homework should be of practical, not theoretical. Solving the problems that I've normally seen that BTech students are doing, that either print a triangle like that, or they have to identify the logic to print that series of numbers. So those kind of, but in real world, this scope of problem solving actually is not, because hardly this kind of problem comes at the normal level. For a fresher, it is not going to come right away. And second is the of problem solving, whatever algorithmic skills that you are actually getting from it, that is not required in real time development in most of the cases, because in real time development, the type of data structures that they are used, they sometimes even do not have that choice. So somebody has created a middle DAL layer that is actually sending out a certain type of object. They cannot even choose to make that data structure. What they can actually do when they are utilizing it, use an algorithm or write an algorithm that improves the performance of iteration, that improves the performance of finding it. So that too. So basically, at the beginning of a project or at the beginning of the career, the choice are very limited as to what decisions they can make in the problem solving. So it is very limited. So when you are giving them these kind of problem solving problems to solve, that is not helping them for the real work they are going to do. Of course, they do not understand the bigger picture. The and with the problems that are given them as assignments, they are not even understanding the relevance of the solution. So if I am able to print a triangle that has the top two in the second row, three in the third row, three threes in the third row, and all that, how does it help them? What this algorithm, this kind of algorithm, how does that help them? They have no clue. Means they are not able to fit this knowledge into the assignments that are given to them. Business context. This is one thing that you have no understanding. As Rishabh told that he's a service head, the business context is something very important. So say I assign a login form to a fresher, and the login form takes say 3 weeks. So 3 weeks, I am talking about a developer 40 hours a week, 120 hours. Okay, that's an expensive, very expensive logging form. That is so many man hours. So for me, it's a very expensive login form. I cannot choose to make. So business context of estimation, business context of the problem, that they have no understanding. They do not get that sense. uh, Again, not able to correlate a solution to uh, what problem it fixes. So you provide them a solutions. As I said, you give them a printing problem, they print the problem, but did it fix anything? How does it, if not fixing, is it improving anything? So in a real world business, you are actually trying to do only three things. Either you are trying to create something new, either you are trying to fix something broken, or you are trying to improve that is already there. The permutation combination of the activities that you are doing is amongst these three only. So if the assignment that they are given, they do not understand how it change is changing the existing thing, so they will not get interested, and they won't be able to not able to understand the technology practices and the trends in the market. So most of the time, the subject or the language or whatever is chosen, I have seen that, you are saying that you're teaching AI and ML and all that, and these students come to do things in AI, do things in ML. But the problem is, since the company that they have been hired into, sometimes they don't have that choice, that okay, that company is not working in AI, that company is not in ML. So how to use it, how to use the knowledge they have already got it, or what kind of products they are working, what is the scope in that product, what are the best practices in that product. So say I'm working in payment industry, so for me, if a student comes in or a fresher comes in, within 2 years I will teach him in terms of OWASP standards. He needs to understand OWASP, he needs to understand PCI DSS, he needs to understand PCI DAS, because these are the industry standards. But these standards somewhere they are not aware of when they come into the organization. So as so as a result, what happens, there's a gap as to what they are expecting is a working solution, may not be altogether an industry based solution. So I think I would have been speaking a lot, so I will break. But in I will take a swig of water. In terms, if you have any questions, you can always share in chat. Then the next 5 minutes, I will answer them for you. So
If you have any query, you can write in the chat window. Please write in the chat window if you have any query. We can discuss on that points.
So I actually saw this question from Dr. Vishal regarding whether they need to do live topics or curate the courses to fix companies, industry. Actually, and Rishabh is saying that of course this is always a debatable topic, and the fact remains, we need to understand, if you start curating your subject and targeting particular industry, you are removing the choice from the student, that they uh, and making it more limited for them. It becomes very focused. So you, if you start curating your courses as to fit the industry, do things the industry way, it won't be very good for the student, because then yes, they don't know how to install Windows 2. Yes, yes. So rather than instead of doing, what I feel, that instead of curating the course, if we can change the, the expectations from the student altogether, instead of making it, driving it as per the marks oriented and all that, why not help them, make it a manageable thing, that the project is not one assignment that they do, a project that they can actually keep on improving, that they start from first year or first semester, and that they can keep doing it and improving on it, just to see how they have grown. Because this is more about giving the student not only knowledge, but the enthusiasm or the encouragement enough to practice it while they're a student. Because the fact remains, once you start, this is like an industry known truth, once you start getting a salary, most of the students will not actually go back to studying. They won't be dedicating like even 2 hours, 3 hours a week to study something. They won't do that. So it is important that the they encourage, you have to keep that enthusiasm to look for solutions. You have to imbibe that enthusiasm there itself, so that that worm keeps them going, that worm keeps them restless, so that they cannot sleep until they find a solution. That should be that needs to be tweaked, and rather than tweaking the course or tweaking making them do live projects, I do not think that will help that much. So in the next couple of slides, I would try to actually understand what we can do better for them. So now, so as I said, so enough of theory, and let us do some of the problems that your students are expected to solve on any working day, any day. So while we have project specific solutions, like there's a project, you need to meet the delivery, you need to do that, then you need to fill all the templated document, you need to fill all the process related document, you need to give a QC handover, you need to create a deployment document, and all that needs is there. That is a part of the activity. But now as well, when we actually see, where the most time goes, kind of problems they get stuck. It is not about the coding problems. The coding problems are not the problem that is holding them back, or that is actually, they are having a problem in. The problems come at a different place, and actually most of the times, and these are the some of the examples I have taken from different projects and if over the years. So let us see whether you can help the students solve them. Okay. published a web solution developed in Visual Studio .NET. Yes. But when you try running the application from the hosted application, you are getting the error that I has failed to handle the request. This is one common error that most freshers face as soon as they make their first solution. And somebody who is yeah. So can any of you tell me what could be? You can take 2 minutes. Try to solve the problem once again. But can you solve for your student? Okay. Can you hear me now? I think there was a lot of background noise from somewhere else. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm not actually speaking. You have hosted the application on IIS, but can nobody here? Oh shit. Can you hear me now? Okay, that's great. This is a problem that the person has hosted the application and trying to run it. And so any idea, can anybody give me the problem is and how to solve them? Because this kind of error will take them around 4 to 6 hours to solve. So any idea what could be the problem? Okay, the problem is that they have installed the IIS later than no, no, not implementation. No, what has happened? They have installed the IIS later than Visual Studio. Okay, so what happened? Visual Studio has an internal web server that is automatically launched in debug mode. No, 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 no. Listen me out, Varun. When you are in a debug mode, the internal web server of Visual Studio actually works. It does not, by default, the internal web server will work. That is why you will get localhost with some port and all that. But when you host the application on IIS, it actually starts working on the web server of IIS. So what happens if you install the IIS later on, after you not install, you actually enable the IIS later on, what will happen? The framework, the Visual Studio framework does not get registered. So you have to register it first. You register your .NET framework, the latest version of the .NET framework on the IIS. You have to run a certain set of commands, and you have to register. Then if you start running it, running. But this is a very simple problem that they are not able to connect the two dots, and they will spend hours on fixing this issue. Issue that will they often face is IIS. Actually, configuring the IIS properly is another task. So normally we check once we actually have enabled the IIS configuration, we check the IIS by host, just running HTTP localhost from the browser. Yes, very colorful page will come. So if that page does not appear, it does IIS is not hosted properly. So even at configuring the IIS to be properly available and so that it is able to process, that is happens that they are not able to do it. The third problem that I seen with our configuration is that they are trying to run a .NET application, but the .NET application is not running for some reason. Say this request cannot be handled by IIS. So the problem that they again get stuck is that they do not understand the request cycle, and what happens that page handler factory uh, required to handle a ASPX page, that is not there in the IIS. That is missing. So that needs to be actually enabled or installed. So if that is missing, this error will come and they will not understand. So these are couple of things that actually takes a whole lot of time. So even when the development is done, they're not able to ever demo because these kind of things are happening. And this sometimes these kind of problems take days for them to solve. Then another very normal problem that will happen was running very slowly. Till 10 days back it was good, then you installed one software and it became very slow. Then you went and raised an the IT guy, and the IT guy comes and says, okay, we will go for a RAM upgrade. So you get a RAM upgradation from 8 GB to 16 GB, and your expectation is that the RAM upgrade, it will work very well, but very slow. It is very slow. What could be the reason? Any idea? Anyone? No, I'm. Hello. Yes, lots of things are coming up. Yes, you can remove the text. and all that do that. That is one thing. Yes, that can actually remove all the browser cache and everything. But most of the time, this will happen because you know the virtual memory was not. And virtual memory upgrade means you need to increase the size of the virtual memory. If you are upgrading the RAM, then only that the expected performance can be got. If the virtual memory, say for a 8 GB thing, you have a virtual memory set around 1 GB to 2 GB, and then you are getting upgrading it to 16 GB, but your virtual memory stays 2 GB because the default is 2 GB somewhere. uh, no, bus speed, transfer rate, no, your own system does not matter what the transfer rate is. You're local, you're not even transferring anything. So in that case, the virtual memory is one place where you need to actually tweak the size of the virtual memory, increase it. And technically you can increase the virtual memory up to 120%. So you can increase the virtual memory and you can actually get a better performance of your local system. Okay. And thanks. And I am expecting this kind of engagement. Thank you for answering. This is a programming problem. Yes. Those, yes, DOS attack, all those things may cause this kind of problem too. But the fact is, in a very implementations that the company have in a secured network, those problems are far less. This kind of problem is, more genuine. Hmm. So, third problem, you send a string as a parameter to a function. The string is of reference type. You change the value of the string in the function, but the modified value of the string. Why? I think all the people who are teaching programming and algorithms, I think this is something for them. It's an easy thing. Please, I need a little bit of more engagement. Okay. So anybody, please give me a couple of answers. Okay. In call by reference, the value is not changed in the memory location. Changes will be in the heap memory, passing a parameter references because changes are temporary. Okay. So you see, this is actually a basic OOPS concept. And because the way the languages are actually being referred to, this concept of reference type and reference, that is not very clear with most of the students. The thing is, while, and I'm taking the a particular example for string is because string by default is a reference type. So whenever you normally when you're passing something as a reference type variable uh, in a function, variable is going to retain the value. It is not going to the value is not going to be lost once you come out of the scope of the variable. It's not supposed to happen, but it happens particularly for the string because string is actually immutable. Because string is immutable, what does immutable mean? Means as soon as you the string into the you try to modify the value of the string, the old reference, the value, a new reference is actually assigned to that variable. And this is more like acting as a passing as a value. Hence, the change does not get reflected into the caller function. Had the instead of string, if we had actually passed string builder kind of, this problem would not even exist. So the concept of when you are trying to actually explain them various OOPS concept and particularly coming to things like runtime polymorphism and compile time polymorphism, or passing by reference. You should actually give them assignments around, where they play around with this kind of concept. Not one problem, not two problem, just playing around with the concept of passing by value, passing by reference, runtime polymorphism, compile polymorphism, because these are something that they do not really get to experience in small scope of project. The problem solving that types that are given, they are not able to understand what actually is happening. And so if you give assignments around it, this kind of concept can get clearer. And what the problem, why I'm actually picking up this kind of thing, because what normally happens there is an error coming into the picture, and they start debugging. They will put the debugger within the function where the modification is happening, and you see the value has been assigned, but they go back to the function and they're trying to check the value, it's not there. So this actually gets them bit confused. There's another place that they often get confused is using the replace function. So again, string being immutable and replace does not, so what you need, replace needs to actually be reassigned to the same variable. The same problem happens. They sometimes think they have lost the value. They keep on doing debugging. The hell, a lot of time is actually wasted around these kinds of small concepts. Yes, okay. Thank you for pointing it out. Varunji, the problem with me is my specs broke yesterday, so I am bit. Please don't mind my cases. And whereas while C sharp is, case sensitive, VB.NET is not. So both will work. Uh, one is, sorry for that. I actually should have told you earlier that my skills. The fourth thing is this DB, the database. So one thing is about the every company or every business is very protective about their data. Data is the biggest, data is the new petrol kind of. So database server mostly, you don't have access. Even if you are the most senior person in the team, you won't have access. You have to route your request through the DBA. So what happens? So whenever you have to do a major, as you have an ITIL, you have a chain of command, and you have to get approval and all that. The DBA will come down whenever you're trying to update something like 1 lakh records need to be updated. The DBA will not, no, it goes to the decision of the DBA whether he allows that update to happen or not, because he's the person who is going to maintain the database. So the DBA is not allowing an update of 1 lakh rows in a table. He says that the table of has 50 crore records system. Now, why has he come down to this kind of, why will, in most of the cases, a DBA will not allow a large update like this? Any idea? Anybody? Okay. So I think whenever you are teaching, you have this course of data structure and algorithms. You also teach, yes, performance issue. But where does the performance issue come from? How means that is the first question that a developer at a junior level will have, right? No, say you have written good script, update anomaly will not happen. So what could be the reason why will a DBA not allow something such a big update at one shot? Okay, so as I said that you have been many data structures. No, I don't. Only DBA will have access. Yes, yes, to perform the any flavors of DB. Yes, right, Rishabji. No, no, no. Database is highly normalized. Still the DBA will not allow. And I will give you a reason why. So I understand you in most of the courses, you will be teaching them binary tree balancing, right? But nobody, if you go back to, no, 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 multiple records, updation of logs, yes. But very basic level of thing. So once you have taught binary tree, everybody knows about bit tree balancing, binary tree balancing. So what is actually, but nobody actually in the fresher level, nobody understands where the binary tree balancing is happening. They will never write for sure. But this is where one place where binary tree balancing is one of the major concept. So what happens in a database normally is the data is arranged in 8K KB size pages or nodes. Okay, and these nodes are in a binary tree. So when you start inserting records, so based on the size of the of each row, the number of rows will actually get inserted in one of these pages. And constantly the database, the SQL Server database will try to actually manage, try to balance the tree. When you start actually inserting records, so what will happen? You will have clustered index in the table because you are having a normalized database. You will have a clustered index on the table. No, no, database tuning will also not require. Okay. Hadoop. Yeah, will solve the problem in a different way. Yes. So what is happening that whenever you're for a normal RDBMS, when the pages are getting balanced and you're inserting records, records will create primary keys. Primary keys always have clustered index. Whenever a clustered index is attached to it, then what will happen if there is a certain, after inserting a certain set of records, if a new page needs to be introduced, or automatically a binary tree balancing will happen. As soon as a binary tree balancing act will happen, then what will happen? Entire clustered indexes will have to realign themselves to point to the new structure. So if you are inserting 1 lakh rows, you will have binary tree, so many nodes, new nodes getting attached. Every time new nodes are getting added to the tree, every time the new nodes are getting added to the tree, what will happen? Your balancing will happen. Once the balancing will happen, your indexes will be redefined. Because the indexes will redefine, then the that structure, the tree structure is going to be balanced again. This is very time intensive. This is very time intensive that your entire table may get into a locking mode. Nothing happens. Nobody can select or anything. And because for a select, normally if you're writing good queries, you will be trying to use the indexes. But at this point, all the indexes are getting redefined. As a result, a DBA will not allow such massive. This is the simplest thing. So whenever we try to make an update, we plan our update, we try to make short you know batches. We try to not do it at one shot through an insert script. We write jobs to do it, or we have utilities. We try to create it in mode, so that if we have 10,000 records, we only insert, we know where to start from. We do not write them in transactions, because in case I want to update 1 lakh records and I'm doing it in a bunch of 10,000, so if I write it in a transaction, what will happen? It will have a cascading rollback effect, and it will roll back the entire update activity. So these things needs to be planned. If these are not planned, DBA is not going to allow an update. Cursor is actually, many companies not even allow cursor. We Many companies will not allow cursor, and 1 lakh rows insertion for cursor. No, 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 no. We will not allow. It will go into a memory. Out of memory can happen. Your command time may time out. Many problem will happen. So we won't even allow cursors. Batch processing we will allow, and batch processing we have to do it in a fail-safe mode. Okay, so that once we insert, we will let the database revive, and again we will. So we mostly do it through jobs, scheduled jobs. So very simple kind of thing. You see that You have one server, you have another server. I have a web application hosted on a server. It works with a Windows authentication. What do I do? What do I do so that my web application can connect to the DB instance on the same server? I am able to connect it. I put the connection string and everything. Everything was working fine. I just go to the, I host it on the server, and so this is a normal problem they will face. Working code in development environment, everything QC done, everything is done. But as soon as you host it on the server, you're not able to connect to the database that is on the same server. What could be the reason? Yes, you will be always connecting through a connection string, Varunji, but the fact is, uh, it's not about connected mode, or it's a very simple problem that every newbie will face when they are deploying their first project, and they mostly face this is a very standard problem, and they keep on breaking their head because they are not able to understand what the problem is. Yes, you don't need you, but still it's not working. You don't need username password. Test connection done, still not happening. Okay, let me not make you wait. The thing is, what happens when you are hosting a web application on the server, you must be using hosting it on an IIS or an Apache server. So when if the application is working on a Windows authentication, the user that actually is getting used for IIS is IIS user. Okay, this is the particular or I user, depending on the version of IIS. It will be either IIS user or I user. So if that application is supposed to run with the IIS user, in the database, you have to go and grant iUser access to the particular database instance. Then only the Windows authentication will work. Otherwise, what you have to do, you have to give them a username and password and change the Windows authentication to remove the Windows authentication. But if you want to run it through Windows authentication, you have to grant the IIS user or the web server user permission on the particular database that is hosted on the same server. Otherwise, it will not work. No profiling activity, nothing like that. It's just as simple. Yes, POP will open for conditional for web authentication, but we are talking about Windows authentication. Another very simple problem. I need to copy a file from Windows application. So Windows application, it could be a batch job that is calling a Windows console application or a Windows service or something like that. Now, when I'm trying to do a file copy, giving server name slash folder path. Okay, so I give server name as .1.23.99 slash and the folder path. I get an error. You are not authorized to perform this action. How can I achieve this and bypass this error? What could be easy way to do it? Yes, but this is something that we keep on doing. You have to a Windows application copying one file from another one to another server. It's a normal thing that we keep on doing. We have long polling applications, we have short polling applications, we have batch applications. So that is a normal thing that keeps on happening. So it could be a dynamic file. So it could not be like a single file that so you cannot keep on changing the permission setting. So every day, say a particular file with a particular naming convention comes to a particular location, you have to copy the file from this location to that location. That's a normal standard long polling application. So you cannot change the permission setting in the file, like go and directly change it. Telnet will only give you to the ping kind of thing, right? Telnet, and you also will need the port. No, nobody nowadays people. No, not, I want to do it through a .NET application. Why do I need to, or any Java application? Okay. When you're trying to copy one file from one uh, server to another server, there could be two things. Either the server is on a remote location. So if the server is on the same network, there could be one thing that you can actually do, impersonation, that you can actually do the file copy activity, and that particular job that you are doing a file copy activity, you credential to it, network credential to it, and you can get that activity done. Okay, that is one part called impersonation. The other thing that you need to actually convention server name dot folder path, you have to make that folder, particular folder on the different server as shared, and that should have right, that should grant access to the user you are using. You can do when the both the servers are on the same network. But I normally we will not go for a solution that is tight kind of things. If I want to go for a very generic solution, what I can do is I can create a web service or WCF service and host it on the remote server. In this WCF service, I write a post or a put kind of method, that in which if you actually post your file, you in the put method, you write that it gets copied into a definite particular location. What you need to do, it gives that IIS user for the server location where the web service or the Windows WCF service is hosted. You grant the IIS user over there right access to the folder you want to copy. Now you just have to call that web service and post that file from your Windows application, and